The Makita DMC 300, an extremely compact 76mm cordless angle grinder from the 18-volt segment. I already introduced this device to you in detail some time ago. If you haven't seen the video yet, I'll link it in the upper right corner on the info card. In today's video, I have another super compact device for you, specifically from Metabo, under review. We're talking about the 76mm cordless angle grinder, the CC18 LTX BL. What this small angle grinder has to offer and how it performs in practice, we'll take a detailed look at in today's video. I would say let's start with the product box or the contents of the package. As you can already see on the product box, there are two variants of this angle grinder. An 18-volt device, which is currently on the table, and another 12-volt device. This means that depending on which battery system someone is using or what requirements they have for the device, they can choose between two different variants, which I personally find quite practical. So, in front of us on the table now, as already mentioned, the solo variant of the 18-volt model. I'm curious about what comes in the package. From the product box, we get the user manual for both variants of the angle grinder and a small promotional flyer. Next is the protective cover for the angle grinder, followed by the actual battery-powered device, and finally, also quite practical, several cutting discs in the 76mm format. What's not included in this case is a battery or a charger. You either have to buy them separately or already own them. I would personally recommend also buying a few more cutting discs as they tend to wear out quite quickly. So much for the contents of the package. Now it's time for us to finally take a detailed look at the little mini angle grinder from Metabo. Let's start with the exterior, because regarding the first impression, I can say that the Metabo cordless angle grinder definitely looks good. This means the device is well made, no plastic residues, no sharp edges noticeable. Also in the handle area, there's a large rubberized surface, uniform gaps, so there's definitely nothing to complain about in that regard. In addition, the device gives a very robust impression, is super compact, and of course, extremely lightweight. The angle grinder is solo, meaning without a battery, only about 240 millimeters long, weighs a mere 600 grams without a battery, plus a large 5.2 ampere-hour battery. We have a gross weight of just around 1,330 grams. This makes the device still super light and extremely handy, even with a large 5.2 ampere-hour battery. Just to mention, the device is somewhat back-heavy, meaning the center of gravity is quite far back. However, the device can still be gripped very well, as mentioned earlier, because the handle is, as evident, nicely ergonomic, not too large, not too small, and also almost entirely rubberized. This provides extremely high slip resistance in practice, allowing us to securely hold and operate the device. At the back is now the large 18-volt battery, or a 12-volt battery for the 12-volt device. The battery is inserted from the top into the battery compartment and clicks in without difficulty. The release, in turn, is located on the underside and is easily accessible when we turn the device completely upside down. The positive aspect here is that it is still the familiar CAS battery system. This means we can interchangeably use batteries from manufacturers within the CAS battery system. For example, currently in front of us is a Scan Grip battery, as mentioned, 18 volts, 5.2 ampere hours. In the CAS system, we can easily use this battery on the angle grinder. Also, at the bottom of the machine, there's a battery indicator. It's located directly on the battery itself. This allows us to easily read the battery status during work. Not to forget, on the right and left are small threads where we can optionally attach a belt clip. And lastly, also very practical, on the left side is a small holder, where we can easily mount and store an appropriate Allen key. We need this for changing the cutting disc. For this reason, I would say let's now talk about the major feature of this cordless angle grinder, namely the cutting disc. In this case, it's not an ordinary device with a 125mm diameter. No, it's a mini cordless angle grinder where we can only mount 76mm cutting discs. For this purpose, on the left side of the angle grinder, there's the corresponding holder, meaning a spindle with a small Allen screw. With this, we can securely fasten the cutting disc, and the small Allen key is included. To prevent the cutting disc from simply turning during installation, there's another red switch on the underside, adorned with two lock symbols. With this, we can lock the spindle and tighten the cutting disc securely. The switch itself may appear a bit hidden at first glance, but it can still be easily reached with a second hand and is relatively easy to operate. Directly above it is a large metal guard, keeping sparks away from the user. The guard can be easily adjusted at various angles, and additionally, there's another guard included in the package that further conceals the cutting disc at the front. So much for the cutting disc. Now, let's move on to the heart of the actual cordless angle grinder, namely the built-in motor and activation. The small Metabo cordless angle grinder has an easily accessible and smoothly operating toggle switch on the top for activating the device. The switch also has the option to be locked. This means that while working, we can activate the device once and do not have to continuously hold the switch in one position, as is the case with this device here at the back, for example. Not to forget, due to the central positioning of the switch, we can also comfortably handle this angle grinder as both a right and left-hander. Directly above it is the built-in motor that provides ample power to the cutting disc. In this case, it's a powerful brushless motor, also recognizable by the numerous BL logos. This means the motor is more efficient, powerful, and durable compared to a conventional brushed motor. Furthermore, in this context, it's worth mentioning that the Metabo cordless angle grinder receives a maximum no-load speed of up to 20,000 revolutions per minute. This is typical for a device of this size and, for example, comparable to this one at the back. Not to forget, this device has a set rotation direction, as is the case with most other devices. This is marked on the top of the housing by a small arrow. This means that when mounting diamond cutting discs and the like, we must pay attention to the rotation direction. For this one at the back, we can change the rotation direction between right and left. In practice, I tested the small Metabo cordless angle grinder on different materials. I tested the device with a large 18-volt 5.2 ampere-hour battery, which I'd fully charged before the test to provide maximum power. I started with one of the toughest challenges, namely 8mm concrete reinforcement, where I could not find any difficulties at all. Followed by a threaded rod M14. Here, I must say I had some issues as the cutting disc had jammed multiple times. In terms of performance, there were also no major difficulties, but it should be noted that it naturally takes some time for such a small mini angle grinder to cut through a complete threaded rod. The results were significantly better when working on 1.5mm thick sheet metal. The angle grinder practically raced through the material, no power drops or anything similar. The same goes for working on aluminum 3mm thick or V2A stainless steel 2mm thick. Here too, the angle grinder had enough power to make a complete cut. Of course, cutting through stainless steel took a bit longer, but the angle grinder still managed to cut through this thick material. In connection with a multi-material cutting disc, I now ventured into other materials such as plexiglass 4.5mm. The device practically raced through the material and performed a very good cut. The same goes for wood, a plywood board 3mm. The speed and pulling power were simply remarkable, and finally, a board 12mm thick could be easily worked on with the angle grinder. The positive aspect here is that the device has quite a large cutting depth of a solid 19mm, significantly larger than, for example, the Makita device. And lastly, I also tested the angle grinder for processing stone and tiles with a diamond cutting disc. I started with a thin tile 6mm and it looks pretty good. A very nice and efficient progress. It looked similar for the thicker floor tile 9mm. Here too, good progress. The angle grinder definitely had to struggle but still managed to complete the cut. For those who would like to watch the detailed test video of the cordless angle grinder again, I will link the comprehensive and extreme test video right here in the top right corner on the info card. After the detailed test, by the way, the large 5.2 ampere-hour battery showed a remaining capacity of 2 out of 4 bars, which, in my opinion, is definitely acceptable for this load or extent. All in all, I can say that the super compact 76mm cordless angle grinder from Metabo in the 18-volt system performed quite well. The device is not only compact and lightweight, but also has sufficient power to handle various applications, whether cutting metal, wood, plastic, or tiles, absolutely no problem, and this is emphasized by a large cutting depth of a solid 19 millimeters. The only thing I would personally wish for is, for example, a dust extraction system so that we can work on tiles indoors without dust. So, my recommendation goes out to everyone who is already using the Metabo or CAS battery system and is also looking for a nice, handy, and extremely compact cordless angle grinder for smaller tasks. And now it's your turn. What do you think about this little Metabo angle grinder? Have you perhaps had any experience with this device? Feel free to share your feedback in the comments below. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, please show it with a strong thumbs up, and if you haven't already, quickly subscribe to this channel and activate the bell to never miss a video in the future. You can find the current prices of this device to support this channel in the video description below. Thank you very much for your support, and with that, take care until next time. Goodbye.